All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Bubba. All you hard-working construction workers out there this morning. Good to see you out there. Another beautiful morning, another Monday, another chance to get it right. All right. Trying to figure out what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Oh, yeah. Yeah. All right. Think I got everything set up. Everybody getting their first cup of coffee this morning? Another chance to get it right. You're in the truck with the boots on, coffee in hand. You're ready. You're already ahead of most folks. Got a big hour planned this morning. Motivation, safety, job site challenges, maybe a few laughs, and what's coming next on the channel. If you're with me live right now, drop your trade and where you're headed this morning. I'd like to know. And if you're on replay, welcome just the same. If I'm still, oh, by the way, new studio this morning, Studio B. I'm still trying to work out the kinks, and I hope I'm getting out there to y'all this morning. Also working on this software. This stuff's bungling me to death. I'm trying to get, perhaps where I can get a little bumper music going on and that kind of stuff. I ain't been able to figure it out, not on a string. Working with the software that I'm using. I'm using OBS, so if any of y'all know anything about that, y'all let me know. I turned my little skeleton here into a floating beast. Y'all tell me what you think about that. I like to have it with me. There he is floating around. How's the logo look? And name, all that good stuff, everything looking good? Y'all let me know. All right. Monday morning. You're out there rolling, calling the fellas, making sure you got everything together, calling them up, saying what's going on, you ready to roll, picking some fellas up maybe, making sure everybody's getting picked up and going to be delivered to the job site, or you're swinging by the shop and picking up a few supplies. Just getting after it. And I'm trying to check the audio. Looks like I might have a little lag in the audio. Y'all let me know. I would like to know. I'm going to try and get on the thing here and see what's going on. And that's not it. Y'all help me out. There we go. Looks like I'm checking my live stream on the see how I'm looking. Looks all right. All right. Gonna See how this thing works. See if I get a message this morning. Oh, I gotta send it. There we go. Good morning, fellas. Looks like I'm getting out. Y'all let me know how this thing sounds. All right, got a few housekeeping details out of the way. All right. What's the word of the week, fellas? Word of the week, fellas. Responsibility. Hey, look, I got one connection or two connections. Responsibility. Look, responsibility isn't a chore, it's a privilege. When you have responsibility in your personal life, it's owning your actions, keeping your word, and looking after the people you count on. In business, it's delivering what you promised. Being there when you say you'd be, and making sure your work holds up long after you've left the site. Responsibility. It means you don't wait for someone else to notice a problem. You step up yourself, handle it, move forward. Don't stand around with your buddies and say, "Oh yeah, look, they got a water leak over there." Ha ha. Yeah, well, yeah, and laugh about it. Hey, get after it, man. Go fix it. Call somebody while you're trying to control the problem. That's a powerful impression you'll make on the people you work with, people you work for. Take that responsibility. People they forget small mistakes but you know what? They don't forget when you dodge responsibility. And that's from years of experience I've had out there in the field. You make a mistake, something happens, mistakes are made. As long as you don't repeat the same mistakes or that guy calls, you walk onto a job site and there's something wrong and you look at the supervisor and say, "Hey man, why is this going? Oh, I forgot about it. I didn't." And it's a life or, somebody could get injured or it could cost the company some money or anything like that. That's just being irresponsible. But you're in the truck this morning. You're rolling. You're going where you need to go. Now what happened? You're out there. So you're being responsible. All right. All right. Moving along. All right. You people want to be trusted. They want to be a supervisor. They want to be a superintendent. They want to be a foreman. But you don't get that trust without responsibility. And you don't keep trust without it either. So make sure you're out there and taking care of business and being responsible in your personal life and your business life. Be responsible. Speaking of driving to work this morning, over the years, and I've been guilty of it. I was a long haul truck driver. I was a local delivery driver. Many, many moons ago in another life, I did that kind of work. And the one of the most important things to do on a daily basis is inspect your equipment. Is it going, number one, is it going to get you there and back again? So have you inspected your truck this morning? Uh, and you don't want to be on the interstate highway going somewhere and your truck overheats and you've got 3 guys in the truck with you and all your tools and heck, you could be slightly overloaded and you break down on the side of the interstate and all of a sudden you got a truckload of guys and you got materials and equipment, tools. They're stranded on the side of the highway and you got guys on a job site that are waiting on you and well, where are you? You forgot to check the fluids in your truck. You've noticed that there was a little green water on the driveway, but yeah, whatever. You didn't take it, be responsible that we talked about earlier. You didn't take the time to be responsible and do the right thing and get it fixed. It was Saturday, man. My day off. I want to fix that truck. And then Monday morning you go, hey, it'll be okay till I get somewhere. And then you're broke down on the side of the road. Your truck or the company vehicle isn't just transportation. It's a tool. And just like any other tool, you need to check it before you use it. I can't tell you the number of times that guys have called me broken down on the side of the highway. And heck, man, what's the matter with your truck? I don't know. It just started talking and quit on me. I don't know what happened. Yeah. There's no engine oil in it. It's the pickup couldn't make it in it. It couldn't get to it. The pickup tube couldn't get to it. So there you go. Yeah. 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 Well, that's just my thoughts on it. I'm still trying to get some stuff going on here, guys. I'm sorry. I'm trying to. Anyway, a company truck or your company vehicle isn't just for transportation. It's a tool. And like I said, it just like any tool, you need to check it before you use it. When you stop and fuel up, do a walk around your truck. Check your tire pressures. A tire pressure gauge is a few dollars at the pet or the O'Reilly's or wherever you're at. Pick up a tire pressure tool gauge and keep it in your console there and check your tires. And number one reason of tire failure is low tire pressure. They overheat when they're low. So when you're fueling at the fuel station, pop the hood, check your coolant levels, look at the reservoir, make sure there's plenty of coolant in the reservoir. You're already at a place you could pick up some coolant and top it off if need be. Pull the dipstick, check the oil in it, see how you're doing with the oil. There's opportunities there to do a quick inspection of your equipment. And here's the thing. When you do it, your crew members or people that you work with, they recognize that you're checking it. If you get to the job site and you go, hey man, I need to use your compressor. I've done that before. Pulled up on a job site, say, hey, I got a low tire. Let me use your air compressor. And they don't have an air chuck. I'm like, what is going on? You don't have an air chuck where you could check the tire pressures. You just use it to blow out radiators. I mean, that's good. I'm glad you do that. You're expecting the equipment, but you don't have an air chuck to put air in a tire. Let me check your tire pressures. And I would kind of give some guys down the road, you got the tools and you're not doing what needs to be done. So I'll check their tire pressures and I'll go, you ain't got a You ain't got a tire gauge. You ain't got a air chuck for your compressor. And you're running 3 low tires on this pickup truck, and you're driving with equipment. You're driving with men and material on this truck on interstate highway to get somewhere, and you haven't done an inspection on your truck. Let me check the oil. And you start doing that kind of thing, and they go, "Oh man, I'm in doo-doo." Well, no, you're not in doo-doo. It's being pointed out that you're not doing the things you need to do. You know, when you're in a fuel station, you walk around, look at the tires, the lights, the fluids, the mirrors, check the load, make sure everything's where it should be, and nothing's about to come loose and fall off down the highway. You know, and once you're loaded, once you're ready to go, fueled up and all that, and you're driving down the road, drive like you own the road, but like nobody else out there knows what they're doing too. That's called defensive driving. You know, you can manage where you're going and you can manage your time and space, but you darn sure can't manage theirs. I've been on accidents where there was tools and materials scattered all over the highway because of an accident. Now, the cause of the accident, you know, it always remains absolutely unknown, but there's good guesstimations of what happened. And it's normally related to either improper loading of the truck, bad equipment, or improper driving decisions based on one of the parties making a terrible mistake. So if you're out there, the goal isn't necessarily to get there fast. It's to get there every single time. And as a personal reference, you know, my wife talks about how I drive. I drive too slow. I drive like an old man. I tell her I am an old man. You know, I've probably logged a couple million miles in my life, both as a long-haul truck driver, local truck driver, and being in position that I have in the construction industry, specifically the demolition business. So I've traveled all over the Southeast in that capacity. I've driven in Canada, Mexico, and all 48 continuous states in my time. So I've had a lot of experience, and I'm just sitting here sharing some of my experiences with you. Skipping a pre-trip is kind of like skipping tying off. You might get away with it until the one time you don't. All right. And next is challenge of the week. Here's the job site challenge. Finishing what you start. I've been on jobs where it looks like just people have dropped their tools right in the middle of, at the end of the day, just dropped what they were doing and made way to the truck. No cleanup, just finishing up. So the challenge this week is to finish what you start. Now, whether it's installing safety rails or cleaning a work area or closing out paperwork, don't leave it half done for the next guy. You know, even in a leadership, an executive role in business, you know, doing review on paperwork and it's incomplete. You know, sometimes it's a drag, that paperwork, you know, the daily superintendent reports, the daily field reports, update reports on what kind of trucking was used, how much fuel was used. You know, when you're tracking the cost of a job, how many guys were on the job, if you're not getting that information on a regular basis, you know, the project manager, the owner of the company, he doesn't have the tools necessary to track that job and to have a decent conversation with the owner of the project, you know, being able to discuss intelligently where the job progress is. If we're not performing those tasks of getting the paperwork turned in, then we could damage the owner's reputation with the people we're working with, because he might look like he don't know what he's talking about. So, half finished work slows everyone down, and it's usually the last 10% of the job that makes or breaks its quality. I've had plenty of jobs where we've demobbed off of it, and I'd be having conversations with the superintendent, and a piece of equipment is left on the backside of the job, an attachment. We go to looking for buckets. We don't know where buckets are. We don't know where this is. We don't know where that's at, not keeping track. It's because somebody didn't do their job. The superintendent, oh, I forgot about that. And then you get 2 or 3, I forgot about that's on a job. Hell, the job ain't done, man. You've done demob. Now I got to remob equipment and manpower to finish up the work that you didn't do. So take pride in closing the loop. If you're a superintendent, create a job wrap-up checklist for your own benefit. If you're a project manager or a company owner, make sure that you have a tool that you can use and pass along to your leadership that allows them to check and make sure, help them. As a safety guy, I had a checklist, the things I would check, whether it was fall protection or eye protection or equipment inspections and all kinds of things. I had 3 pages, probably 100 items that I would check just to make sure that I was covering all my bases. And then as a leadership role, we had superintendent daily reports, and I would review those, and we had a meeting every day at the end of the day, and I would be calling up, hey man, I ain't got this report. Where are we at on that? And if you do enough leadership, if you do enough follow up with those kind of things, they'll start getting it done. I promise you. Responsibility isn't about starting strong, rolling in there with truckloads of people and equipment and jumping out and getting busy in a hurry. Responsibility is about finishing the job well. That's what your client is going to remember, is how well you finish the job, how good the job looked. And if he doesn't have to make 13 phone calls for you to come back out and hey man, you left a pile of debris over here on the backside. That was your debris you generated, you left it, and you had equipment there and you had trucking there and you just didn't get it. Well, now you got to get another piece of equipment out there, and you got to get another truck out there, and you got to get more manpower out there. And here you are trying to make a strong start on another job site, and you ain't finished the darn first one. So, as a challenge to everybody on the job site, from the guy pushing the broom to the superintendent to the project manager to the company owner, let's challenge ourselves to finish the job. Have a strong finish so that the customer, when you walk off the job and you're brushing your hands and the job is done. The job is done. So go ahead and finish the job and do a good job. All right. Enough of that old serious business. Anybody got any good jokes this morning? I try to come up with darn jokes, and Pluriforia, she helps me best she can, but I don't expect her to understand construction humor, and hell, I don't know. I guess limited. Everything's funny to me, but to have a joke at hand for construction is kind of hard for me. So You guys, if you got a joke, send me a joke and we'll share it right here on the stream. And if you catch this as a follow up another time, send me a joke so that I can have something to try and get a chuckle in the mornings. But I do have one here. Thank you, Pluriforia. I appreciate it. Why did the excavator break up with the bulldozer? It couldn't handle being pushed. Now, I do like this one. You know you work construction if you've ever used a screwdriver to open your lunch. Can of sardines. Yeah. You got them soda crackers, man. You got that old can of sardines and the key broke, or some reason or whatever it is. Can of beanie weenies, man. You hungry? Your stomach's eating through your backbone, man. Draw up better plans. All right. Enough from the peanut gallery. Lunchbox. Yeah, the old lunchbox lesson. We had a guy whose lunch just kept disappearing. He brought one normal sandwich and one with ghost pepper sauce. Let's say the thief was never heard from again, except in the porta potty line. Two framers once argued about who could measure faster. They raced, but they were both wrong by a half inch. Fast is fine, but accurate pays the bills. All right. Let's see. Viewer questions. I had a guy last week who called me, and what was that question he said? It was about, at what height is the requirement to be tied off? And, guys, being on a construction site, you need to be, the OSHA standard says for construction that if you're exposed to falls of greater than 6 feet, you have to be tied off. That's just the rule. Now, there are companies out there who do work in various situations, suppose it's a demolition company. Well, they do work in both general industry, manufacturing, general industry, and they also do work on construction sites. Well, their company policy might say if you're exposed to a fall of greater than 4 feet, then you'll be required to tie off. So you could have basically 3 different areas that you have responsibility in. It's called the creating entity, the ownership entity, and the controlling entity. So if you're a construction worker, man, I know it can be confusing. So it just normally takes a question. You should know if you're on a manufacturing site, a warehouse facility, a plant where they do that kind of thing. That's called a general industry. And OSHA standard for general industry is that you're to be tied off if you're exposed to 4 feet or greater risk of fall. In the construction industry, it is 6 feet. Okay. But check your company standards, because you could be under a company standard. If your company policy says 6 feet and you're on a manufacturing facility, you're in violation if you're not tied off anything over 4 feet, because general industry says 4 feet. I know that's kind of confusing. But anyway, That's one thing that you just need to be. And if you ever have any questions, you can contact me. You can send me a message, a DM, or whatever it is on the YouTube in the comments. I read the comments. If you want to send a question, I'm cool with that, and I'll get you an answer the best I can, and I'll give you references. Matter of fact, you could go to the other channel that I have, Middleclassbubba, and I probably got a couple hundred videos on there on safety, everything from hazard recognition, hazard communication, fall protection, all that's on there. And if you need a reference, you can go look that up or send me a question and I'll get it to you. All right. Now, last week on the channel, we talked about back injuries from, well, this past week on the other channel, back injuries from helper lifting. And that's those moments where two people try to lift something together and don't move the same way. It's a recipe for someone getting hurt. And the best way to avoid that is to use some kind of count system. You talk about how you're going to pick it up. Okay, I'll carry walking forward, or I'll carry grabbing from the back, or we'll carry it from the side, and we'll pick on 1, 2, 3, pick. Put down the same way, 1, 2, 3, down. That way you're kind of moving in unison, and you know which direction that both parties will be moving. So, you know, because if you're carrying a load and you're helping somebody and he goes, oh, I'm losing my grip, then you know what to do. You could brace for it. But if he just drops it right when you're walking, that could twist your body in a way could cause an injury to your back. And then you're missing work because this guy y'all didn't talk about it. And I said it then and I'll say it again, and I'm sure you've heard it 100 times on your job site and in your work history. Lift smart, lift right, or get the right equipment. You know, going to get a cart or using lifting straps or anything like that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of being smart. Your back is for life, not just for today. You don't want to be the old man like me who has to hobble around because of some kind of back injury that he suffered younger in his days. And another guy said an operator. Now this is an equipment operator, and he and I were talking, and you know, for years I watched some of my good friends, equipment operators. And for years, when they came out of a machine, they would step out on the tracks and then jump off the darn equipment onto the ground. And it's 2 or 3 feet. When you're a young man, you think you got that stuff made. But the impact on your joints and your spine and all those discs and those little pillows between the disc and your back, every time you jump, that's darn impact, man. And you do that for a number of years, it's going to mess up your back. So use your 3 points of contact, getting in and out of equipment. Don't jump off of docks. Don't jump off of trucks. Don't jump off of equipment. Use your 3 points of contact and get up and down correctly. All right. Here we go. I got 5:34 in the morning. 5:34 in the morning. I hope everybody's getting, you know what, I need to get me a drink of coffee. Ugh. All right. Y'all, I appreciate you giving me that minute. Get rid of that. Cup of coffee to you guys out there rolling down the highway. I even got my work boots on this morning. I was in a rush trying to get this stream going because I decided I was going to put my boots on before I did this because I got some things to do this morning when I get done with you guys. Um, all right. For uh, how about the here's an interesting tools and trick, and some people do, some people don't. Uh, I think it's a good idea, and I need to do this too. I used to keep a set of tools in my truck everywhere I went because I never knew when I was going to have to start wrenching on something. Either the old rattle trap pickup truck I was driving or a piece of equipment on the job site. I never knew what I was going to have to be fixing. I could tell you that half-inch, man, that half-inch socket and that half-inch wrench, that thing was always gone. I don't know what happened. I used to buy them in the flea market and have 6 or 8 half inches on the darn truck because I never had one. I don't know why. Uh, but you know, a good trick is to keep a dedicated truck toolkit, and wrenches, breaker bar, duct tape, zip ties, flashlight, pair of pliers, a screwdriver, those basic tools. Uh, you'll appreciate having those things. Now, I probably do have a pair of pliers and a screwdriver and a flashlight on my pickup truck right now, but I think I need to uh, put together a toolkit and keep it under the back seat. I got so much stuff under that back seat on the truck. I tell you what, hard hats, gloves, you name it, the safety vest. I think I got drones back there. I got all kinds. That reminds me, I need to charge my drone batteries. Actually, I need to get those daggum drones out and give them a test run. I haven't flown them in so long, I don't even know if the software is updated. I don't even know if DJI even, on some of them drones, I don't even know if they still provide updates on the drone software. I need to check that out before somebody calls me wanting me to do some drone work. Anyway, that's one of the tools of my trade. But anyway, you know, back to the toolbox thing. Uh, you know, keep that toolkit. It doesn't. I used to use a old tackle box. I kept butt connectors. I kept stuff to do wires. I kept wire in there. I kept all kinds of stuff. And people were grateful to see me every now and then because they knew I had, hey, man, you got this? I said, yeah, let's look. But anyway, that's keep that dedicated. Uh, keep a toolbox on your truck. Uh, you'll be grateful for it one day, I promise. Um, so got 5:39. Y'all give me a comment. Let me know you're watching. It looks like I got one guy out there watching me this morning. Good morning to whoever you are. All right, let's move along. You know, it's 20 minutes till, and here's uh, a trade wisdom. Y'all share this with your workers today, and this one's from Ben Franklin, uh, early supporter. I don't know if you could call him a founding father, even though I think he had quite a bit of risk aversion. He wasn't a representative. He was just a well-known person. Him and Paul Revere and all them other guys, they wanted an independent country. But Ben Franklin, he's once said, well done is better than well said. I guess the point of that is to talk less and do more. Your work and your actions will always speak louder than any word you can utter out of your mouth. So share that with your guys this morning. It's Monday morning. You should be gathering around this morning and having a toolbox safety talk, and bring that forward to them and have that conversation. But Ben Franklin, a job well done is better than well said. Now, last week, we did talk about back injuries in the channel. The channel last week, we talked about back injuries. And, we covered it a little bit about this morning about proper lifting. This Thursday, if you don't already have a toolbox talk, this week you got the helper lifter. You can go to the other channel this morning when you do your toolbox safety talk. You can refer the video that I did last week on back injuries from helper lifting, because that happens all the time. But this morning, make sure you have your safety meeting this morning and have something to talk about. Now this upcoming week, we're going to be talking about foot protection and impalement hazards. That's coming up, and I'll release that one on Friday. This Friday. Y'all excuse me, I got to make a change in my notes here. I got a script I try to stick to, but sometimes I have to make corrections as I go, because this is a part of a permanent record in case there's ever any questions about what I talked about on these Monday morning shows. So this Friday we'll be talking about foot protection and impalement hazards. And guys, there's all kinds of hazards on the job, and the foot protection is, most companies now require some kind of toe protection. They call it steel toe, but they make good boots right now where they use something other than steel. There's carbon fiber toe caps and stuff like that. I see guys on the job site and it looks like they're wearing tennis shoes, and you inquire, and yeah, they're safety shoes. They've got them in there, but they look like tennis shoes. And of course, my question is, what do they do for ankle protection? How, in my job, I was always on demolition sites, and you'd be walking across a demolition field, a debris field, and there could be, the debris field out there, and you could step on a piece of rubble, and like the stream went bad for a minute, but a boot where you lace it up, because that way you can tighten and give your ankles good support. But here's something that impalement hazards, you can't, it's hard to protect against that with a steel toe. I guess it's possible, but, there's all kinds of things on a job site. There's rebar sticking up, there's stakes, nails, all kinds of stuff out there that you could step on. And, as a kid, I've stepped on nails and stuff, wasn't paying attention. I've seen guys at poor housekeeping, boards sticking with nails sticking up, and guys step on them. God dang it, now you got to take them to the darn emergency room, get them in the emergency room, write an incident report and all that stuff. And you know, they miss a couple of days of work because they got a darn nail in their foot. So it sounds simple, but that's the stuff that'll sideline you faster than you think. So hit the bell, hit the subscribe bell so you don't miss it. Go to the other channel and check that out next week. And if you need something to talk about this morning, you talked about back injuries last week, and you need something new to talk about this week with your guys. You're on the way to the job site now, and you're contemplating everything you got to do. And here I am reminding you of a toolbox safety talk that you got to do. Then there you have a couple things. You could either use last week's video on back injuries, or you could talk about foot protection today. One of those things will do you for today to get your safety talk done. So, we're running on a time clock here. Got about 13 minutes left. Anybody got any comments? Anything we'd like to talk about? Let's see here. Did I cover everything? Let's see. We talked about callback comments, viewers' questions. We talked about that. All right. Don't want all this dead air, so I got to come up with something to talk about. You know, I had a guy one time. I worked for him, and he's a good guy. I always wanted to, and it was tough. You know, he had a bunch of people that he had to manage and direct them. This wasn't where, you know, I was fairly independent. I knew that I had certain things to manage, and he would turn me loose, and I could go out there, and he knew that I'd be sending him reports, you know, probably 4 or 5 reports a day for 4 or 5 days a week. And then I'd have to spend a week in the office and catch up on all that stuff. But, you know, I covered an area pretty big: Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way up into Virginia, down. Well, I never went down into Florida, but Alabama. And I would run a route, and I had certain divisions, and you know, those guys in those divisions knew that they would see me. And but he told me one time, now I want you to think about this: if you're a supervisor, even if you're just a new guy with a wheelbarrow who's a wheelbarrow pusher. That's what I call a new guy, wheelbarrow pusher. Because they don't know what you're good at, but they always need somebody to clean up or push a wheelbarrow or go get tools. You call them a gopher or whatever, new guy. But he told me one time, he says, you know, and he was a Navy guy. He says, you know, people don't quit their jobs. They quit their bosses. And I've always recognized that, but he put it up in words, and I've always tried to be the kind of guy that was in the field, and I've always made an effort, and you can talk to anybody, the field is the most important place to me. You know, I don't need to sit in the ivory tower, and I've had jobs where I didn't have to get in the field. But I made a choice where that it was important for me to get into the field and visit with the guys. And it always was an objective of mine, is to be on a job site every day at startup. I wanted to be there, and I wanted to observe them having their safety meeting. I wanted to observe them having their PTP meetings. I wanted to see that and hear that and how they're communicating with they would say, you got anything? And I'd always have something. I say, you're doing a good job. What I've seen this morning leads me to believe that the leadership in this job is running smooth. And when you start talking that kind of language, you're raising expectations. You got apologies, guys. You got to remember that I'm way up in the mountains of northeast Georgia, and I'm on the satellite. I'm on Starlink, and they do an update every morning between 5 and 6, and sometimes I think I'm doing a stream right in the middle of it. So that's, if you see it buffering or you see me flipping out or whatever, that's what's going on. But anyway, uh, being the kind of not being a boss, you have the responsibility of ensuring that the job gets done properly, that your people are observing safety protocols and following proper work procedures and all that. That's your job. But that includes, you know, that includes you doing the right thing too. And there's been plenty of even business owners who've come on my job sites, and I'd pull them to the side and say, this is a job site, and we're required here to wear hard hat, safety glasses, high vis vest, and work boots. And you're the example here that we need. So please, let's get you outfitted properly. And sometimes you could look that cross-eyed look they would give you, and you'd have to stand your ground, because you got to remember that your guys are always looking to their leadership, how they behave. Do they follow the same procedures, or do they think they're a step above? You can't be a step above. You got to be right there with them, and you got to show them exactly, how to behave. What you expect is how you behave. You come dressed in the job, and you got your gloves on, and when you go to pick something up, you stop and put those gloves on. That shows them that you're serious about what you're doing. And when they see that the leadership is serious, they're serious. So keep that kind of stuff in mind as a leader. If you're a supervisor, do you always have your hard hat on? Do you always? Hey, I give you an example. I got 5 minutes. I'll give you an example. This guy, I'm gonna call him Fred. So he was on this project, a bridge project, demoing a bridge, and it was a night job. And I didn't live too far from it, so I drove down to that job one time. And Fred did not have his hard hat on. And didn't have any safety glasses on, as a matter of fact. And he had a couple, he probably had a crew of 6 or 7 guys there taking down this bridge. And a couple of the guys didn't have their safety stuff on. And I addressed it with him. I said, Fred, man, you're a leader here. And you're walking around without your hard hat. And he looks up, and there's nothing but open sky above him. I said, I get you, but you're still not following company procedures. You're on the job site, and you're not wearing your PPE. And matter of fact, you got 2 or 3 guys here following your suit, not wearing their PPE. And so it was a few days, maybe a week or so later, I get a call from risk management. And they said, hey, didn't you go to this job site down here on this bridge demo? And I said, yeah. And they said, did you write a report about people wearing their hard hats and wearing the appropriate PPE? I said, I did. And you should I can get you a copy of it. She goes, no, I got a copy of it. And she said, Fred had to go to the hospital last night because one of the track hose got a piece of rebar wound up in it. And got a piece of rebar caught up in the tracks and it flipped it out and it hit Fred in the back of the head and he's got 18 stitches. I said, well, and how would you like me to respond? She goes, oh, no, you don't need to respond. I was just verifying. I said, okay. I said, as a matter of fact, he had 2 or 3 people who was working with him or for him on the job site who didn't have theirs either. She goes, oh. And I think I said something in the report about leadership responsibility. She goes, I see that. So anyway, there you go. There's your example. All right, so shows I got about 3 minutes left on this. It's time to sign her off. And I want to tell you, I'm grateful to have the opportunity on Monday mornings at 5 a.m. And I set my alarm to get up so I can get down here in Studio B. I don't know if I told y'all, I got the new studio set up. I've had it for a while and I finally got it cleaned up, got the computers fired up and did some realignment. And so now here we are in Studio B, and it still needs some improvement, and I'll continue to improve, but I am grateful to have the opportunity to be here with y'all on Monday mornings. And I'm grateful for the steady work that I have and you have, and the safe travels that we cover. Some of us are working regionally. We've been up earlier than 5 o'clock, leaving from one city, going to another city to start their work week. You know, you worked half a day Saturday, spent 2 or 3 hours traveling home and taking care of things around the house, and now you're off again this morning. Man, I'm grateful for you guys out there who are rebuilding this great country. So, building this great country, I'm grateful, and to be with a crew of folks who actually care about doing the job right. So, I'm grateful. Remember, responsibility starts with each of us, but it spreads when we live it out loud. Keep your word. Finish your work, and watch out for the folks beside you. Be your brother's keepers. Stay safe, stay sharp, and stay on time. And more importantly, the most important thing is to have a grateful day. And I'll see you next week. Next Monday morning at 5 a.m. Bubba is out. Let's see, stop it.